Okay, well, don't swear. Don't swear. I'm assuming Ronnie will be coming.
Who else is there?
No. It's Ronnie's coming, right?
Hmm?
This is on.
This is on, okay. Nicole, we can just put you wherever you're 6 feet away. You could actually sit
Why
up there.
don't you sit on that end and I'll sit down here.
Okay.
I'll be here.
Yeah, there's a meeting tomorrow night.
Pardon?
There's a meeting tomorrow night. Actually, it was tonight. Next week, they moved it every day, right? Next month, they moved it a day, I think.
Yeah.
Come through Nicole. Or every time you put your glasses on with these things on, fogs up.
Pinch it. There's things there you can pinch tight at the top of it.
You don't. Maybe you can slide down.
I figured the metal goes up top so you can bend it around your nose.
You can.
Makes a difference.
You're being watched by the whole nation on TV, so.
Glad you did your hair.
I didn't do my hair. My hair needs doing.
How'd I end up with one of these chairs?
Somebody took yours.
I don't know, I'll say I watched the governor today, and none of the police guys had these masks on, and none of the reporters did. So long as you're 6 feet away, I think we're okay. I don't think we need to do this.
You're right.
I think you're right.
It's supposed to be if you're going out in public and you can't avoid coming in close contact. If
So
you
can we
stay-
take these off?
That's, as far as I'm concerned, I don't wanna wear it. But if he tells me I have to, I will, but I think it's his call. But I'm saying our governor's not doing it.
It's funny because I see some stores and stuff are making you wear them, but the governor's order was the stores had to provide them to their employees. Nothing about requiring the public, you know, that I've read. So. Well, we'll just call this order and everybody stand for the pledge.
No one.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So this is a budget workshop, and it was advertised as a workshop, so that means the town can't take any actions. This is really just to try to figure out what we're doing and where we're going. Mike, do you want us to start with D and DB or do the other ones first?
It'd be
I was gonna
great
say, if we do those, and you
then we can,
guys are free to leave if you want, or if you wanna stay for the others, you're more than welcome.
no, that's fine, I just soon get ours done out of the way. I just soon get ours done and out of the way if you want to.
Yep. I can't hear very well, so you gotta speak up. I think I put some sheets in front of everybody, some stuff that I worked on yesterday and last night. I think hopefully other people have got some ideas also. We'll go right to page 2 to the DA. You know, one of the things that we've done here is we're taking a guess at what our loss of revenue is gonna be. And the figures that we've used here are 25%. Some of the stuff that I've seen them come out with is they came out with stuff at 13% possible, and then they changed it to 24%. Has anybody else seen any other predictions? And the problem is that we don't know how long this is gonna go. I mean, it kinda looks to me like things are starting to loosen up a little bit now. But there's other areas too that are becoming hotspots all of a sudden, the last day or two, that weren't. I think we've been pretty fortunate. We got, what, 53 cases in Jefferson County, and they got a bunch up in St. Lawrence, 8 in Lewis, but that's where they're at. So if we start it with DA, and using that 25% figure, you can see that DA has a total budget of a little over $1 million. Sales tax is 46.48% of that budget. If you say we're gonna lose 25%, we're gonna lose $117,000, $117,899. The next item I have has got 3 committed loan payments that are basically what you wanna call, I'm gonna call them a fixed expense, because they're there, there's nothing we can do about them. So we have $258,000, $447,000 in fixed, but the 202 is a fund balance. So that really, it does not come out of the budgeted dollars of $1,014,657. This is just my work here that came up with items as far as where we could do budget cuts. Anybody else have any thoughts? There's 3 areas for budget cuts: is the machinery contractual, the personal services. Machinery and the personal services, other governments. Just to clarify from you, Mike, machinery contractual, that's what you spend on parts and repair, you know, that doesn't have any salaries or any wages in it, but that's just for parts, right?
Yeah.
To fix things and so on and so forth. Mike, do you have the figures of what we spent in that last year, or what we spent so far this year?
Which one? Okay, for DA, machinery, as of, March 31st, looking at, 17%. But in DA, that's all you're talking about here, yeah, 17.2%.
How much?
17.2.
Yep. You know, in some of these cases, obviously we've already spent some of these monies. And the one thing that we kind of looked at is that we're getting pretty close to the 1st of May. So realistically, that means we have 8 months left. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We've got 8 months left. And one of the things we always keep in the back of our minds is the last 2 months of the year are snow months. So, really, what we're looking at is we have got 6 months to adjust things, not 8 months. As you can see by what I put on the bottom of this sheet, there's no listing here of snow removal, personal services, and contractual. And this is just my suggestion. My suggestion is we don't touch that.
Well, that's what I said,
What's that?
that's what I said at the last meeting, that we can't.
Yeah.
I think you'll find.
I mean, we've had snow in October, right, Mike?
Yeah, but I think you'll find last winter was a fairly decent winter, and, I actually had to buy extra salt here this month. I talked to Nicole about it. We're down below on our salt consumption, so I think you'll see that by the time we get to October, we're gonna look pretty good in our, snow and ice removal this year. And we went up 30-70 and sometimes 50-50, because we're trying to see how it works. And instead of over the years running 4 and 5 and 6 times a day, we're only running 3 times a day now, and salt seems to be working a lot better mixed with sand, because it grinds it, but it seems to be working better for us. So, I don't wanna ramble on.
Yep, yep, no, we need the input. So I'm looking to, what does everybody think? Where do you think we should go and cut?
You mentioned, the 25%, and, I know the village just passed their budget, and they're budgeting at 50%. So I think 25% is a real number. I think 50 in their part might be on the high side, hopefully. But we've never been here before, so we don't know what's gonna happen. But the thing is, as we come out of this thing, it's not like all of a sudden everything's gonna be normal. So we're down here, it's gonna take a while to come back up. And, just the whole depressed, economic activity, it's gonna take a long time,
Yeah,
real long time.
yeah. Mike, what would your thoughts be as far as?
Well, I don't have the contract, or the budget with me, I'm sorry, but I know I put in there, I did the Gore Road, and I was gonna do all this. Those numbers have all come down because of the oil and all that stuff.
Do you have the road work,
Yes,
right?
I do. We were gonna do some pipes and stuff in Redwood and do some roads. I had $50,000 put away for that. That was originally asked for in the budget. We can get away with not doing that this year. I had $50,000 put away for starting the pipes and ditch work on number 6 road, all right? We can just do ditch work, it's easy, it's cheap, and we can start that. That's $50,000. There's 100 that you can save right out of the budget right now.
That's DB.
Yep.
That's
That's
DB, not DA.
And now, as far as the machinery goes, if something breaks down that's catastrophic, or we can't control it, I don't know what you wanna do with DA.
I mean, looking at DA, and from what you're saying, if machinery that we need and that we use breaks, we have to fix it.
The dozer's down right now, I can't get
So-
started.
The snow and ice.
Nicole, can you tell us what we spent in that line item last
Talking
year?
about snow and ice, we're not talking about a bulldozer.
No, he's talking
If something
about
breaks
the
down.
dozer.
We're talking about snow and ice.
He's talking about the dozer right now.
No, you were.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Talking about snow and ice
I gotta
winter.
get a copy of the
He's
budget.
talking about something break, Mike, he's talking about
I
something
gotta
breaks
get, you
down.
want the actual numbers.
Okay, well, we're
Right.
talking about snow and ice.
I know, but what we gotta come up with some
Well,
cuts. And if something breaks down, it breaks down, we gotta deal with it. The thing is, if we have some numbers on cuts, then we need specifics.
No, I just mentioned, if a snowplow breaks in the wintertime,
Yep,
you're kinda screwed. If the bulldozer breaks in the wintertime, no big deal. Well, that's what I'm talking about.
And that's the thing, we don't know what's gonna break. And
Well,
some items that these guys use in the summer are,
No.
I guess I'm gonna say are essential, to them doing work. I mean, for instance, mowing the sides of the road, okay?
Yes.
If that mower breaks, or
Fix it.
the mowers break, then and you don't fix it, and you don't have the money to fix it, then that grass grows high, and then the deer come out, or a kid comes out through that grass, and you got a big problem. So I would call that a pretty important item to,
So I feel comfortable with you taking money out of there I'm gonna leave it up to you how much. You can do the percentages each month.
Taking it out of machinery?
If you want to, but if something breaks that we do have to have, then maybe I can come back to you and say, listen, this is gonna cost something to fix. What do you wanna do? Or if something breaks that we don't need for the summer, we'll get it back in the back barn and leave it. I mean, I've always tried to work with stuff like that.
What is your most essential equipment for the summer?
I'm gonna say the roller, the dozer. The grader we don't use a lot, but that's in really nice shape right now. These guys,
The what is?
the grader is in really nice shape. The dozer, like I say, is over the pit, we use it all the time. And we can't, Jim's over there right now, we can't get it started, so.
What's the biggest use for the dozer, the brush pit?
Brush pit and on the shoulders of the roads and ditches, and, you know, clearing the trees and stuff off the ditches when we get started. Yeah, the dozer's been rebuilt a couple times too.
What's the biggest use for the grader?
When we do the resurfacing or put the Jersey spreader down, we'll have to, you know, tailgate loads in front of it, and the grader, that in the wintertime, if we get an ice storm, it's not costing us anything, you know, if that's what you mean.
What do you have, for that total figure last year?
For machinery contractual?
Yeah,
64,500.
64
64,500.
is what we spent. Budgeted 120. We're just looking at last year's numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Budgeted 120, spent 64 on machinery,
yeah,
machinery equipment.
right, and right now you're at 17.2, and we're at 25% through the year, so I think you'd be all right.
See, we were ditching down at Clear Lake yesterday, and we blew a hose on the stick on the big hole. Cost me $500 to go to Anderson to get a new hose, because we don't carry that big stuff.
Yep.
I mean, I can't, you gotta fix it to get it back to the barn and get it fixed, you know. But, yeah, if you could take 50, you could take whatever, take 50 out of it if you want to.
Out of the machinery
Sure,
contractual.
why not? I mean, everything's in decent shape, knock on wood, but I'm gonna leave that part up to you how much.
Just for me, cause I'm new and because I know there's people listening now that we're televising this, and so they might be as clueless as I am. So there's three categories in this highway DA, portion. You've got machinery contractual, which you just talked about, it's for the parts for fixing things. Number 2 is personal services, machinery, and then personal services, other government. What is included in those categories?
Machinery, personal services is like the payroll. The last couple of months has had a fair amount of machinery because the guys have been in the barn working on the equipment. So I believe their labor in the barn, quite a few hours, not so much this billing period, this pay period, but the last couple pay periods, they spent a lot of time working on machinery. So that's their labor in the barn working on machinery. And actually, I don't mean to say in the barn, wherever it is that they're working on machinery. They do some of it outside, they probably do some of it on the road, and do a bunch of it in the barn.
And when we're not plowing in the winter, they're getting the trucks ready for the next time, so I'm talking to Cole, and the only thing we can do that under is machinery,
Right.
so.
I mean, one of the big things that you probably spent a lot of time on is taking sanders off and getting the bodies ready and getting the dump boxes on.
Yep.
And there's a fair amount of work that I've seen that they do, when the sander's off and before the dump box goes on. They do a bunch of work on the frames of the trucks and all kinds of things like that, right?
Yes, and Greg and Bobby now are putting a new pintle hitch on 222, because the older truck, we're gonna keep it, use it for a rock truck, but it can't pull the dozer and stuff like it used to.
Yep.
So.
And personal services, other governments is work that we do, isn't it pretty much only for the county? Do we do anything for the state?
I don't use that much at all, do I? I've been using a lot of the maintenance, yeah, that's just for the county, I mean.
That's your mowing on the sides of the roads?
No.
No.
No,
What is
that's
it?
maintenance, and then I charge the county for that. So we don't use that I don't think a lot, do we, Nicole?
How much of that did we use last year?
28,000.
28,000? How much was budgeted last year?
$22,800.
So I guess I don't understand, because I didn't put a lot down on other governments unless I was blacktopping for the county. I mean, you told me to do that, and so I did. I mean, we don't know where to put it, you know what I mean? The guys are out working, their wages are already there, but we're getting reimbursed for a lot of that stuff.
Is our account with the county that we currently have still has a pretty good deficit on it that the town owes the county
Yeah.
from what they did for our bridge work last year?
We rolled-
And some other things, right?
Yeah, we rolled other stuff over from other years.
And you've been working that off,
Yes.
and the biggest way you work that off, correct me if I'm wrong here, the biggest way you work that off is having our trucks go haul for them.
I like to put the pipes in like we did down here, because then I can charge them more for the hole and for the,
That's a county road.
yes, that county pays is gonna, well, not pay me in cents, but that's gonna come off our bill.
Of all your roads that you've got for all these pipes, and I know that we talked about that you bought $8,000 worth of pipe quite a while ago, basically for the season. Of all these roads that you're gonna use those pipes on, what's the percentage that you would say off the top of your head are town roads and county roads?
The only time I use it, the pipe that we put down here, the county will reimburse me, they'll give me that.
Right, but I'm just saying, as far as the work on this pipe work you're gonna do, are you doing it on town roads or county roads, or 50/50, or?
No, 99.9% of them are on town roads.
Town roads.
Yeah, the only reason we did this down here is because Jimmy's understaffed and the pipe failed, and
Yeah, yeah.
now they did talk about hiring us, once they do county two, hiring us to do the ditch work and the pipes to put in that, and that'd be a great thing for, maybe get ahead on some of our money.
How did the Daewoo work for doing that pipe down there?
Down here?
Yeah.
It was fine, it's fine. It would be nice to someday down the road, get a smaller one so you don't have to shut the road completely down, and, you know, Jamie could use it.
So if I'm understanding this right, at some point in the time in the past, the county did work for us, and we basically have a bill that we owe them. Do we have any idea how much that bill is? And so when you do work on county roads that they would normally do, what it costs us, we just kinda deduct it from what we owe them?
Yes,
So they're letting us have a little slush fund?
I have a spreadsheet that the county makes out, and it's like $41 an hour for a man, and it's $50 for a dump truck, and it's more for the hole, the dozer and stuff like that. And you put down the road, what you did, and then the hours each man worked, and that goes across, and once a month I take that to the county, to Jimmy, and he goes over it and takes that much money off our,
Do you know where that account stands right now?
I do not at this point, not yet, not right now.
Do you know where that account stood at the end of the year?
I don't know if we had it at the end of the year, but we did get it at one point last year.
We got what?
We did get that figure at one point last year, I don't remember what it
Don't they
was.
send us a end of the year, what's that piece of paper they send us with all the different, it's got the mortgage tax, the dog deal, all those things, is that on that
That's not part
account?
of there, no.
That's not it?
No. No. All it would take is an email to get it though.
I mean, I remember talking to Jimmy Lawrence some point last year about that.
And he sent you an email,
Huh? With the
Telling
dollar
you,
amount?
yeah.
Yeah, he did, I can't remember what it was, can you?
Last year it was probably up there pretty decent. It was probably pretty decent with what was prior years.
Yeah,
You know, so, but it's,
I wanna say it was 40 or 50,000.
it could have been, I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I give him $10, $15, $12, $14,000 a crack, $20,000 a crack every time I send it in.
See, that's the way this thing works, Sandy, it's on paper. Everything, that whole deal, am I right, Mike?
Yeah.
It's strictly a on-paper deal. And at the end of the year, after we've done work for them and they've done work for us, there's no settling up. It carries on to the next year.
Yes,
And
Jimmy is
I
good.
asked a bunch of questions about this whole deal last year when I didn't really understand it. And I said, well, what happens at the end of the year when the town of Alexandria owes the county 50 grand? That goes into the next year, you know? And am I right, Mike?
Yeah.
Just carries on, it
Yep.
carries forward.
And Jimmy is very lenient. Last winter, I was real close on salt because of that ice storm. I called Jimmy up and he gave it to me, 2 tandem loads of salt for free. That's pretty generous.
Probably not something you should do.
Well,
I mean, somebody paid for that salt.
Well, I know the county did, you know,
I know, but I mean, that's the whole idea, keeping track of everything, so that a tandem load doesn't go somewhere unaccounted for. I don't know.
I'm sure I'll work it out for him someplace down the road.
Well, then,
I helped him
it's,
out,
it's
yeah.
recorded. I just can't imagine anything like that not being recorded.
yeah,
Anybody here got
I didn't hear what he was talking about.
2 tandem loads of salt, no charge, free?
That we got
Yeah,
from,
from the county.
The county's there to help us.
I thought we got salt from,
We're doing their roads too, so it's.
I know,
going
but we
on.
keep track of it. I'm not saying it was a bad thing for him to do,
Yeah.
but we should be responsible for that salt. That's all I'm saying.
yeah.
I mean, he's accountable for the salt. I can't imagine that he can let 2 tandems of salt go for free without being accounted for. It
What's
just seems
a
very
tandem of
strange
salt
to me.
worth?
What's that?
I'm asking Mike, what's a tandem of salt worth? What's that, 18 ton, 16
I
ton?
don't know if you get that much on there. You might get 15 ton at $70 a ton.
15 at 70 or 75 bucks, not including haul, yeah,
Yeah, they buy it a lot cheaper than we do, so it's probably not that much.
$1,000 bucks,
$1,200.
$1,200 bucks.
But I'm just saying,
$2,400 for 2?
Yeah,
I'm just saying that they're pretty, it was emergency type deal, I needed it, and
yep,
he was very generous. I'm just saying, working back and forth with the county, we don't wanna spoil that. That's a great thing.
Getting it.
I'm just trying to understand. I absolutely agree with what Ronnie's saying.
I'll go
And
back,
I'm sure that it probably was recorded, because I can't imagine that they would just give it away. But I think that we need to do a better job, i.e. Mike, where are we at? Because you're the one that has that relationship with the county.
he sends me a printout. I didn't realize you guys had wanted it, or and I'll take a note down, and I'll get right back to you tomorrow and find out how much it is, if you want me to. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, for myself, and I can't speak for them, but for myself, because this is so new, where, you know, when we help them and when they help us, how do these things happen and get recorded? And I think it's a wonderful thing that it shows that different agencies are working together, but again, you know, it's not just stuff walking out the back door, because there has to be accountability.
There is accountability.
And I'm sure there is, but it would help to understand it if we've seen it.
I doubt we were only telling you got a free load of salt though, too. Right, Mike?
What's that,
I
John?
doubt we were only telling you got a free load of salt.
I doubt it, John.
I think this probably goes on back and forth. They probably,
Everybody helps
they
everybody.
lose salt every day they don't know about.
We had trees go down up on 111. I didn't charge them for it, because it was a quick deal, and went up, and Jimmy knows that's what happens, so.
I haven't got a mask on right now, because my understanding of the rules are, as long as you can stay 6 feet away, if you can maintain the social distancing, you don't need to have masks on.
That's what I said earlier, and that's why I finally was like, okay.
Because it's hard to talk.
I'm having a hard time
6 feet?
breathing in, and,
Yeah.
There we go.
yeah, I mean, if we can't touch, and if you feel more comfortable keeping it on, by all means,
Right,
keep it
right.
on, but.
But I just wanna explain why mine's off.
I said that when we first started, that, you know,
You
when you
feel safe, huh,
watch
Greg?
when you watch the governor and him and his whole staff, you know, they have their distance, and they don't have theirs on, and none of the reporters have it on, do we really have to have it on? Because, I mean, I don't wanna see you choke again, Brett. Last week, you really struggled breathing. Like,
He coughs, he takes it off, might as well have it off to start with.
To be honest with you, the only reason I put mine on is because of TV. If you don't hear about it, we get out here if we don't.
Well, that's why I wanna
Probably
explain
get about
it, that's why I wanted to explain.
Yeah, I'm behind you, Ronnie, 100%.
Okay,
All
okay.
right.
Better?
We all agreed to be rebels on this matter.
We'll all be in
Okay,
this
well,
problem
thank you
together.
for the explanation of those. It seems most obvious right now that I don't think you're gonna get, you can take 50,000 out of that number one, machinery contractual, but that still leaves you 67,000, short, possibly short in that fund. Do we have a figure last year of what we spent on this, category 2 on that one, Nicole?
Which one is category 2 equipment?
Personal services, machinery.
2019,
Mhm.
156,
What's the account number on that, Mike?
we're in DA, right?
Yep.
51301.3.1. That's
Personal
it.
services, machinery?
205,230,
205,000
yeah.
we spent
But-
last year?
For
But
2019,
we had,
So we have-
that's the category that, we had a retiree.
And we
that got
paid a lump
his-
sum.
It's a sick pay,
Yep,
and that's where that went.
so that lowers that figure by,
Because the budget was 156, right?
right, that's what
Right.
I'm looking at, 156.
that's
Yeah,
what the budget was.
Yes,
but we paid the,
Okay, but that was it, so that'd make it like a one-time
yeah.
thing, so 156 is the number.
but
So that means that we spent about 160. If you subtract that lump sum.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just looking at the prior year, 2018, we spent almost 150,000.
Yeah, so it puts it right back where,
Yeah,
Right,
Page
So
are you
we're-
on?
So we're right around that
What
figure.
page are you on?
what's that?
What page are you on at the bottom?
That
10.
was page 10? Yeah. And it's right up to, almost, it's like fifth line from the top.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, if we spent 150 in 2018, we spent 160 in 2019, 158 budgeted in 2020 certainly seems like a reasonable number. And if we're gonna cut that line item, we gotta get real specific on how that's gonna be happening. I mean, to me, if we could give Mike a number, for us to tell, if we give him a number, I think he knows better for sure than we do on how to achieve that number. For us to, in other words, we give you a number and then you come up with details on how to achieve it. Cause you're the one that has to live with those cuts.
Right.
Right.
That's strictly labor personnel, isn't it?
Yes.
What's that?
Is that what that is? That's labor, isn't it?
yeah.
So,
How would you do that?
regardless whether, I don't know, I mean, it is what it is.
I'm just saying if it was like parts is one thing, if it's labor, that's an entirely different animal.
Mhm. And that's in the winter too, so. I think a majority of it we're using in the winter and in the spring, putting trucks together and back and forth, and then we start on maintenance and road jobs, so. I don't know, I guess I'm gonna have to leave that up to you guys.
Where is that category at as of right now?
79,000.
So we're halfway through it.
For which one, which item?
Machinery, personal services,
We used how much?
79 already, so we're halfway through it,
And we're only 4 months,
and we're only 4 months
Right,
into it,
as
and
of
we
the
had
end
a
of
really
April?
easy winter.
That's 3 months into it.
End of March.
3 months.
March,
That's only 3 months of numbers she has.
Right, and we had an easy winter.
This is just machinery, so it's whatever needs
That's
to be
labor
worked
for
on.
machinery.
That's
Labor
Whatever
for
works on,
machinery.
not necessarily snow and ice.
Well, like I say, when we get done with plowing snow, I've been writing the labor down as not on snow and ice. I write it down as machinery repair, because that's what they're doing. They're taking chains apart, taking trucks apart, putting them back together, making sure everything is running good for, you know, washing, greasing.
But if there was $50,000 less in that, that'd only leave about 25,000 for the whole rest of the year. Holy crap.
Yeah.
For fixing things, yeah.
So this is a hot topic nobody wants to talk about, right, personnel?
Yep.
I mean, hospitals are laying off, Mike.
The what?
Hospitals are all laying off. Everybody's screaming, they're all getting laid off. I don't know why we can't, I mean, they can draw unemployment and
Well,
get that $600.
Here's what I'm gonna say right now. We can't make any actions now. I think you're starting to understand where we're at.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been very clear right now that in that category 2, okay, in category 1, the machinery, the parts and stuff, he thinks it can go down $50,000. Well, if you don't have the parts to fix stuff, you're not using the labor to fix stuff, but you've already gone through half of your budget almost, already in the first 3 months of the year. So there's gonna have to be some adjustments there in your personnel. Let's go to, can we go to, the Highway Fund B and go through that? And then, cause we know where we're at, and then you can have a day to do some serious thinking and come back with some hard things for us cause we have a board meeting actually tomorrow night where we can take action.
I think we need to give Mike a number. And
We
then,
did.
and then give him time
The
to come
one-
back to us with detail on how he's gonna achieve it. Yeah.
Are we all comfortable with going with the 25% as what we feel needs to be, you know, based off of what the county has told us with the sales tax amount? Are we comfortable with that amount being it?
Let me ask a question to Nicole. This is DA.
Yeah.
Nicole, what do we have for fund balance in DA? And I know that people don't like to talk about fund balance and people don't like to plan on fund balance. But I'm just thinking, if this 25% number, as Sandy's saying, turns into 40 or 50, we got a big issue.
431,000. But you gotta take that 202,561 out of there for that new truck.
So we got 400 and some odd thousand, we're gonna take half of that to pay for that truck.
Right.
That's DA or DB?
She just said DA. So, and our reasoning on that deal with that truck was, by the time we finance it and bond for it and go through all that, we spend a bunch of money on doing that. We had finance trucks in the past, right, Mike? The last 2 or 3 or 4 have been financed, and we spend, I gotta believe we spend over 10 grand.
Look, we just got done talking about this loader and stuff. It's basically following that same, we'll be paying for it over time,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm just giving you a reason why we took $202,000 out of the fund balance to buy the truck. Cause in the end, we felt we were saving 10,000, and the real key here is, we make very, very little interest on that money sitting there. I mean, the town of Alexandria never made any interest on the money sitting there until
Last year.
18 months ago, when we got a permission from the board to put it in a CD. And what did we earn for interest last year? 6,000 some odd dollars, right?
Yep.
But that's that much more than zero, so.
I guess what I'm looking at, 25%, we're looking at about a $440,000 loss, sales tax revenue, right?
Yep.
Okay, so if we budget for 440 and we're wrong, it's higher. We got a $440,000 safety net as far as staying in that one balance. I'm not saying to use it, but I'm saying, what if we guessed wrong?
Yeah, but you said we got how big a safety net?
No, it's more than that, but it'd be almost 472,000 just for DA.
I thought the fund balance, I thought it said DA fund balance after payment of the truck.
No, it's only about 200,000.
No, that was-
Truck out.
I thought that was after you took the truck out.
No.
That's before the truck's out?
That's before the truck's out, so
Oh,
you've only
okay.
got a fund balance of about a little over 200.
Yeah, the net's a lot smaller.
That's a whole lot different.
Oh, we're gonna take half, basically, we're gonna take half of that fund balance and buy the truck with it.
Got it.
When are we buying the truck? It's here, isn't it?
It's in the shop right now, getting equipped.
Wouldn't,
Okay, so, well, it's even smaller then, okay. All the more urgency in doing what we're doing, yeah.
so we could, like Ronnie says, we give Mike a figure that I think do we all agree that we wanna see $117,000, have him come up with a,
Didn't you do that already?
Can I meet you halfway?
No.
In one of your things here, didn't you do that already?
Well, I guess what I'm like, if we give Mike a total number, and he decides to take a little bit more percentage-wise out of one than the other, do we really care?
I don't know that we really care, but I think an issue that we ran into with Bill Dashnaw with the comptroller is, I don't think you can intermix those funds, can you?
No.
No, cause one's inside and one's outside. So, if he takes it out of another one to help the other one,
Right,
can't do it.
so it's gotta be across the board then, say,
So it's gotta be per
Within
fund.
that fund.
okay,
Whatever he does in DA can't spill over into DB.
Right, but isn't this it right here? 25%, you got it all broken out? $144,477
Yeah,
and, for DA and, $452,000 in, DB. I mean, isn't that what we're talking about?
yeah.
right, the only thing I was questioning is whether and you just answered that question. You're talking about a total of 261,000, it looks like, 262,000 between the two funds. So I guess my only question was, can he take more out of one than the other, or does it have to be proportionate? And what I'm hearing is it's gotta be proportionate.
I mean, everything we've been told in the past is that you can't take money from one fund and put it to another fund. We can check on that and get an answer to that for sure before, in a day or so. Whether we go to the comptroller, or whether we go to Bill Dashnaw, or whether we go to Mike Lasan. Those
Well,
are
I'm
three
pretty sure
people.
you can't go from DA to DB and DB to DA.
So we had a situation that we wanted to, or we needed to. One of the deals is, what is the fund balance in DB? Is that the one, isn't that the one that we just got reprimanded for, because is that a negative fund balance?
Well, after March, it's negative 73,000, but at the end of the year, it was negative, what, 9,400?
Yeah.
The fund balance for DB? Oh,
So it basically doesn't exist, yeah.
Well, that's because there's no revenue in it yet this year.
Right, but at the end of the year,
The first sales
The end of the
tax,
year was $9,400 negative.
it'll
Right.
look better at the end of this month because the sales tax is coming in.
Yeah,
And Bill Dashnaw said that the first place that money goes to is DB.
yeah.
just to get on paper to make it black,
so,
okay?
Even if
for
it
all intents and
wasn't in the
purposes,
red.
it's not an area we can even think about.
No,
That's, wow.
okay.
How did that happen?
Well, anyway, I guess so my question is this, to whoever you're gonna check with. What we're looking at is, doing a couple of changes. One is we're gonna lower our estimated revenue from sales tax by a number. And then according to what Mike comes up with for detail, that would be the offset to it. My question is, can you take 30% out of, and these are just round numbers, 30% out of DA, reduce sales tax by 30% out of that one, and only reduce the other one by 20%? In other words, treat them, the changes are in the funds themselves, but you're just not reducing the sales tax as much in one, and you're actually reducing it more in another. But the total is the 261 that we need. That's what I'm asking.
I think something that we can do, and I don't know if this helps answer your question, but I think something that we can do is we can amend the budget.
Yeah,
That's what you do every month when you do
Right.
budget transfers.
so that's what I'm getting at, I'm just
You're
saying,
amending the budget.
but,
Right, so what I was saying is that, if I got you, understand you right, Ryan, we can take the sales tax and we can put less sales tax into one fund than we're planning.
then, yeah, as long as the total reduction is what we
And
need.
put more in another fund.
Right, right. Because what we're talking about is lowering both of them. Actually, all of them are getting lowered.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is, because we're going to Mike with a number, and then he decides how best to be able to live with that, and it might be 20% out of one and 30% out of the other, instead of 25 out of both of them. So that would be the question, if we can lower the sales tax on the revenue side by, say, 30 in one fund, and then have the offsets on the expense, and the other one lower it by 20%, and then have the offsets.
That's the second question to Bill Desno. You got the first one, right?
Yeah, going between DA and DB.
Because technically, we're not like, when you say from going from one fund to the other, we're talking about lowering the income. And I guess the
We gotta make the funds balance, so if we.
well, we're gonna make the funds balanced,
So if
but do we have to treat the funds equally? In other words, can we take more sales tax percentage-wise away from one as another?
I would think we could, and have the average be
All right,
25.
Yeah.
Here's my question. When you're doing the budget the year before last August, who told you have a estimate from prior years? Who determined how much sales tax was going into each category? Was that from you guys?
I believe so, yeah.
Then why can't us guys,
Right.
redistribute as,
In other words, it's not mandated by law that a
Right.
certain percentage of sales tax has to go into that. So if that's the case, it was an arbitrary decision on our part to put what's in there now. It would seem that we should be able to modify that.
But that arbitrary decision on our part is tied to what Mike submits to us for his expected expenditures and costs for the year.
Overall.
So when Mike
Overall.
submits the information for DA,
So if we know, as Ronnie said, that, you know, if we take 25% of his budget, and we say, that's why I said, let's stop with A for right now and let's go to B, and let's see if there's somewhere else where he could take and save more money.
Right. Because overall,
because
yeah.
kind of what I'm hearing, and from the way it's done in the past, I don't, in my layman eyes, I don't see why there would be an issue, you know, instead of putting all the sales tax, you know, 25, you know, and let him answer the questions as to where it's actually gonna be cut.
Right.
yeah. Okay. So you wanna move on to DB?
Well, do we even need to get into detail? I mean, if we come up with a number for Mike, and then Mike comes back to us, say tomorrow night, with detail on how to achieve it. That's my thoughts.
The only thing that we can do is Mike's got these papers in front of him, he can just see the areas, which there aren't very many, that are, what it looks like that where we can do cuts.
But this sheet from you, this is the breakdown of what 25% would look like. So what we're talking about here is when you add DA and DB together, a little more than 222,000, that's what we're talking about.
And then there was a CHIPS.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
so that's, I match that number, right? That's what we're talking about.
22, right,
Yeah, there you go.
yep.
I see
Right,
there's
that-
chips
that-
here, there's consolidated highway improvement is 39,000. I don't see all the other stuff, maybe I don't understand it, but there's $168,000 worth of CHIPS money coming, and there's $68,000 worth of Pave New York and Extreme Recovery. And from what I'm understanding, I've talked to a few people, they don't think that any of that's gonna get cut.
I mean, one of the things that worries me about CHIPS is I sent everybody a copy of that deal that we got the notice from the state and from the Association of Towns. And one of the things that worries me about CHIPS is that the way we do our work, and because of the seasons here and everything else, we don't usually start doing CHIPS projects till when,
Next month.
you know? So, and there's a process that you have to go through when you submit your vouchers for payment. And when you submit your vouchers, there's a period of time that it is before we get paid, correct?
Yeah.
You know that because you.
Yeah, well, we have to pay before we get reimbursed.
I know we do, but what I'm getting at is from when we submit those vouchers and invoices, how long is it before we get paid?
Couple months.
There
Because
is
the
a-
check has to clear the bank.
Yeah.
You have to send a copy of the canceled check. But usually after you do that, within a month after that, the money comes in, but
And
still,
my
the
point-
whole process is,
And my point here is that we're at where we're at right now in April.
yeah.
And this virus deal, as we all know, state of New York is supposedly 10 to 15 billion dollars in the hole. They can raid that account at any time they want, according to the stuff that was sent to us. So, and I know that just in the past, Mike's done a lot of his road work during the summer and during maybe even some into early fall. I mean, you did surface treating, the last couple of years, a lot of it in the late summer, early fall, right?
Yep.
Is surface treating chips fundable?
Yeah, oh yeah, any road work is, the pipes that we're putting in and keep track of all that, that's all refundable.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm worried about the time situation here.
Well, as
And
far as
that
the
relates-
chips, whether that happens or not,
It's like the AIM money that the governor took away last year, remember that? Even though it wasn't a whole lot of money, it's only 17 grand for the town of Alexandria, but other towns it's quite a bit more. And towns went ballistic over it, even small amounts of money. And over time, the governor said, okay, we're gonna give it back to you. Didn't really, did. He
No, it came
put
out of
in-
sales tax.
We didn't really get it back.
Took it out of sales tax. Took it out of our sales tax.
Yeah.
So, like
So
Mike said,
I'm just frightful that they kind of learned a little trick and they could do the same stupid thing.
well, if you wanna just cut this short on DA and DB and tell them, what was that figure, 222?
So I'm just saying, if you add, from your paper here, if you add those two numbers together, you get 222.
right, but then the chips is a separate issue.
That's a separate issue.
Right, so what's our direction to him in regard to
Fine,
chips?
$222,000.
Okay,
That's
then we're
your
gonna
bill.
forget about the chips then, cause I'm just looking at this sheet here, and this sheet has the chips on it.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at, Brent did this,
Yep.
what 25% would look like. That's what 25% would look like.
Right, that's sales tax, so
Right.
chips is a separate issue.
Right.
And who told you that might happen?
You got a paper in front of you, I believe. That was a notice that I sent to everybody. Came from Association of Towns.
Okay,
And it very clearly, does anybody have that paper? It very clearly says that they can take it for three or four different reasons. And that basically is where I told you that basically giving them a reason to steal, or a license to steal. I sent that to you too, didn't I, Mike?
I read it.
Yeah.
so I guess all I'm saying is we need to either say yes or no now for Mike to know whether he needs to budget a 25%, is that 25% of the chips? Is that what
No,
that
that's all,
39,000?
yeah, that's 25%, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
So do we ask him to come back with 222,000 in cuts, or do we ask him to come back with $261,000 in cuts? That's what I'm asking.
Gentlemen,
Well,
excuse me?
this is just me saying this from budgeting practices, that we've done for the last few years is we usually try to take the more conservative approach in case this turns bad. So what I'm saying there is to plan for a $39,000 cut in chips. Anybody?
I'll go
You
along
never
with that.
know.
Well, the thing is, the longer the year goes on, the less time we have to remedy our problem here, that's the thing.
Or use the money before it's taken.
Well, it sounds like, I mean, is that one of those things where if you if we had already spent it and invoiced them now?
They make their own rules.
That's what I wonder. I understand what you're saying, but, you know, that seems a rational way to look at it, as opposed to the government doesn't always look at things like that.
Right. You know, gentlemen, I understand where you're all coming from. I understand the budget, I understand the money loss and the tax loss and all that. The only people that are gonna be taken back for this are the taxpayers. Oil is, I don't wanna see, you know, I'll work with anybody as far as cutting it back. I think $200 and some thousand may be unrealistic. I'm not bantering or arguing. If we wait another year, then these top roads that I've done, they're gonna be in worse shape. Your oil is gonna be up, your stone is gonna be up. It may cost you more money. Like I say, I can save a ton of money, but even if I laid a guy off, how much are you talking for 4 months? I gotta have him back in the fall and put him back under the snow and ice. I understand all that. I don't wanna see the infrastructure in the town of Alexandria suffer for it. And
Don't you think it's gonna suffer across the US with what's
it is.
happening?
It is, and like I say, I'm willing to cut and give. You know, I can take $100,000 right out of there just like that, if you want me to, or maybe more. And I can just not service street and speed road, that's another $30,000 that was in there. I mean, I can come up with a bunch of money, you know, my guys, and I don't wanna get sentimental and all that, I'd like to have you just hear me for a second. How many Christmases and how many basketball games and how many hockey games and birthdays with their children and New Year's have my men missed to keep the roads safe for the rest of the public? And to throw them off to the side, and I understand it's a money thing, but I've talked to, like, Lafargeville and Clayton, and they're not saying anything about personnel cuts. We can do ditching, we can do other stuff, but like I say, do we wanna throw our men off to the side? The guys that make our roads safe for us in the winter, and make them safe for us now. I mean, we've got potholes, we've got pipes, John's got a pipe down, I gotta replace it. And I don't know, gentlemen, I know what you're all getting at, and I know what I'm getting at. I fight with it every day. I don't sleep all night thinking about what's gotta be done.
I think that people got this problem all over the country, Mike.
Yeah.
I understand,
900 people have been furloughed in 4 hospital systems in the Tri-County area. 900 nurses, aides, the whole thing. And I get what you're saying, I don't disagree, but those people also are key to all of us too.
Yeah, so could we talk furloughs, not termination?
We're not talking about,
I don't
we
think
never talked
anybody's
about,
talking termination.
we never said that.
I don't think there's I'll say, I am not
it's just a
talking
question.
termination at all.
Okay.
It's a temporary deal.
This is temporary, this is a unusual temporary circumstance.
I'm sure,
Besides that, they get paid quite well while they're off too.
Yeah.
I understand all that.
I don't think so, Mike.
I know,
It sounds like it.
I'm just speaking for myself, but we could definitely talk furlough as far as I'm concerned.
See, I think I can live with that. And
I've read
you guys could.
about these 900 that Ronnie's talking about, and some of them, because furloughed opens up a whole nother doorway, is that some of them, they furloughed, and they paid their health insurance.
Yes, sir.
Some of them, they paid 100% of their health insurance, some of them, they paid just the employer share of their health insurance, and the employee is still responsible for paying their 10 or 12%. So there's a lot of variations from what I'm reading to this furlough deal.
And they can draw unemployment,
What's that?
and they can
And
draw.
then they can draw
I think,
unemployment.
in my mind, Mike, the deal is if we're just saying you're done, no more work, not gonna get a paycheck, that, I understand that, but they're gonna get paid, they're gonna get their unemployment, you get a $600 a month deal, most of them, I know guys that don't wanna go back to work.
A week, John.
A week, excuse me.
I'm
just big
not
money.
arguing with anybody, I'm just stating my opinion and the way I feel and my facts. I mean, I'd like to do what we can for them. How many are you talking? You
I
guys
mew,
must have
and the other thing
number.
here, the other thing here is too, is that you gotta think of where this money's coming from. If you do furlough a few employees or a couple employees, whatever it may be, as we've said, they can go on unemployment.
They can.
Who's paying their unemployment?
We are.
Not this town.
I understand that.
What's our rate?
Everybody's gonna pay
4?
someday. It's gonna happen.
You know,
Yeah.
22 million people on unemployment right now. No, I'm just being selfish and biased for this town.
So what are you I understand. What are you talking for a timeline for me?
6
Well,
months.
I mean, we have to talk this out anyways.
6
Yeah.
months, we're talking about winter, we said that over and over again. We have winter coming.
Right.
So it's not gonna be, we're not gonna go into winter with less people that we need.
I hate to tie this to unemployment, but I believe the federal unemployment is for 4 months.
Yeah, the very end of July.
Well, that's the $600 thing.
Right, and then,
Okay.
yeah.
That's 4 months.
Unemployment's been extended an extra 13 weeks to 39 weeks, that's New York State. But the 600, depending on what you're
Federal.
paid, it's like the 24th, 25th of July
Yeah.
will be the last
Yeah.
$600 payment. But I think what we need, Mike needs to leave here knowing that he needs to come up with what I'm hearing, 262,000, it's 376, call it $262,000 to modify his 2020 budget by, and still have all your full money for plowing in the winter, I mean, till December 31st, 2020. But that's what I would be looking for, is how, your recommendation on how to get 262,000 out of DA and DB.
Yep. You okay with that?
I'll sit down with you tomorrow and see what we come up with, if you guys would like to, you and him, please. We'll come up with some sort of a solution. And like I say, I would not be opposed to the furlough type thing. You know, as long as I can get my men back, say in September, start hauling sand and start putting trucks back together, so we don't get caught with our pants down. We have a new truck coming in, of course Greggy will be here and Bobby working on that, but we still have, you know, we still have work to do, and I'm willing to cut, believe me. I wanna help out, and I think if I could talk to 2 guys and furlough them, would you guys be, until, say, the middle or the end of August, would you guys be interested?
You need to put it on paper. You just need to
Put
put numbers on
You need to put
paper.
some numbers to
Put the
that.
pencils to the paper, figure out how much 2 people would save, see if you can cut the rest from somewhere else.
We can do that tomorrow.
You might find that that's not enough, because.
I don't know if I can do it tomorrow.
What's happening?
So you should be able to sit down and
Figure it out.
at least come up with a
How much
rough
you can
number.
We got the
save by
budget for
furloughing
each,
2
what each
people.
employee's getting and all
I
of
gotta
that.
get ready for the
Because
meeting.
if you're asking for
Bills gotta be done.
furlough, then depending on if you're, when I hear furlough, and correct me, cause I'm not positive on this definition, furlough is not like a standard layoff. We still help with health benefits and all that, right?
I think you have a choice, I'm not sure. We need to look into that too.
My understanding of furlough is there's an expectation of rehire.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's all variations of it, but that's the main, between a termination where see you later for good, furlough is, it's temporary with the anticipated rehire.
Okay, so you have an option as to whether or not you do keep their health insurance or let it go for a certain amount of time.
But on that note, and I'm not saying, again, you need to crunch the numbers here.
I have to do that with Nicole, I can't.
I'm not gonna say, if we,
On my own.
okay, that we furloughed some folks, and their salary goes, but we pay insurance, so it's not as much savings.
Exactly,
Right.
that,
So I'm
that's
just-
what I'm getting at,
that's what
that's
you
what I'm
gotta
getting
crunch
at.
these numbers.
Because
But you got the
you're saying-
262.
You're saying you wanna only let two go. But if you're saying you only wanna let two go, but you wanna keep their health insurance, in order to keep their health insurance, that's not that, cause I mean, honestly, the benefits is a very, very large part of their overall salaries for the year. So you might have to let go 3 or maybe 4, but that's where you've gotta sit down with the numbers, you know, and say, okay, you know, this is what we need to get done, I need to have this many, I can let this many, I mean, that's all a part of the budgeting process.
I mean, we have some other issues too that isn't gonna affect your budget, but are gonna affect the General A and General B, or mainly General A, and that is that in the last 2 weeks or week and a half, your men have put 205 hours of labor at your labor rate and the town's expenses, benefit costs, into the brush pit and into Butterfield Lake
Yes,
dock system.
and that comes out of my, doesn't come out of my budget, right?
And that comes out of.
Brush does, brush and weeds, right?
What's that?
Isn't brush pit under brush and weeds?
Put it this way, it's General A.
That's the county-
Brush
that's
and
the
weeds
county
is in
pit.
DA.
That doesn't have any what's the dollar amount on that? It was peanuts.
Yeah, but you can always do a journal, transfer. Okay.
Well, the Butterfield Lake dock doesn't come out of it.
That's A, for sure.
Okay, I know the number, Ronnie, or Brent does. I feel really comfortable, you guys do the budgets and all that stuff. I do the work, sitting down with a couple people and saying, listen, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, and come up with a figure for you.
Great.
All right, and if you guys can do it tomorrow, give me a time, we'll be here.
Let me read this, that we were asking earlier about that CHIPS money. I've attached a notice I just got from the New York Association of Towns. They're saying that the current passed New York State budget has a budget gap of between $10 and $15 billion. They are warning us that CHIPS allocation to municipalities will change if the state decides to take the money from CHIPS for funding, and here's what they categorized it for capital projects deemed essential to public health and safety and welfare, or any essential government reasons. So they just opened up a huge doorway to take CHIPS money.
But that, in other words, that wasn't somebody's guessing.
No.
That was the Albany notifying.
Yes.
And, okay, so that's a real deal. Yeah.
And I think what's going on is I'm sure that Governor Cuomo is scrambling with this $15 billion budget gap. And you see the stuff on the TV, he's meeting with Trump today.
Yeah.
Because, and didn't I read, is it phase 3 or phase 4 is gonna have money for municipalities? One of these future phases. So,
But the governor even went so far as to take away a negotiated pay increase.
yeah, I see that.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's how far they're willing to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's just I got maybe an example of how far they're willing to go.
So
I'm willing to work with you.
So give you a figure, or we'll be here in the morning.
Give me a time, which time you want me here, all right? And I will be here, and we'll go through it, we'll see I'll talk to my guys when I go back, and we'll come up with some sort of a solution there.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
you know, obviously I wanna help, you know, it's my town, we can custom grow jobs, we can do brush and weed control, we got tons of it to do.
Yeah. Okay.
All right?
Yep.
So I'm out of here, right?
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Well, that leaves us with A and B.
You brought this up, I was going through this last couple of days, where exactly is this Butterfield Lake dock work coming out of?
Where's it, what?
The floating dock.
I'm looking, but I'm just.
Oh, funding.
Budget
Right
item?
in
In
the
general
dock.
A, there's marinas and docks, and we
That's
budgeted $1,000.
Yeah,
This is
well,
way past $1,000.
This is totally unexpected.
I know that, but I mean, so where
And
is it coming from?
and I'm gonna say that this is gonna cost
probably
us,
fund balance.
and I'm gonna say that this
Okay.
is gonna we have a contingency there too, don't we, eh?
I'm just saying,
I mean, the 11 and 6, I think it's gonna cost us $20,000.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we need to talk about things like,
So, it's gonna cost us $20,000 to rebuild this Butterfield Lake dock system. The one thing I will say is that Ralph Wagner has helped us all throughout this whole procedure. We've been working on these things, and both he and Mike agree that spending that money on those docks will basically give those docks another 25 years.
And we gotta have the
there's no
docks.
question.
What's that?
We gotta have them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Butterfield Lake.
not questioning that, I'm just saying,
Where's
we
the money coming from?
budgeted $1,000.
Yeah, it's a good
148,000
investment, necessary investment, but where's it coming
So
from?
where's, and we can't have these guys deflecting portions of their salary in these areas at all. I'm not gonna go for
But if
that.
it's legitimate, I mean.
You said we can't?
No, I'm just saying, we can't, because that's kind of defeats the entire purpose here.
Right, but if they did the work to get the docks out of the water and stuff.
I know, but I'm just saying, any future, kind of, let's play this little shell game, because we can get in a different area, doing different things. I just don't think we wanna get into that area. I'm just using this
You gotta
as
be
an
charged the
example.
proper place, right?
Yeah,
Simple as that.
yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do.
I mean,
I'm
to
just pointing
have
out-
our guys do these docks, I think is saving us money rather than hiring an outside contractor. And one of the reasons, the main reason I'm gonna say this is because where those docks came out of the water to the town barn is 2 to 3 miles. And there's 5 of these docks. And they have them at the town barn now, and they have to flip them over. They're gonna have to be flipped over a couple times to paint them and to work on them, and they've got all the equipment to do that.
So, okay, so this is gonna be an ongoing thing.
This is gonna be a deal that
So
Mike
where's-
hopes to get done by Memorial Day.
So all these hours are gonna get charged in general A.
That's general A work, if it's,
I'm just saying, it's just kicking the can down the road here.
Well, then it would increase the number we need to cut other places.
I know it, that's just,
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's unnecessary,
Yep.
this is a reality, you know?
Yeah, you're increasing your general A
Yep.
expenditures and saving it in DA,
There, thank you, Nicole.
yeah.
but there's nothing we can do about that. This is an unforeseen repair,
I'm not,
right.
no
But
question.
to keep things in balance, say you had to put 20 there, you gotta take 20 somewhere else.
exactly.
Whether you take another 20 out of DA and DB,
Yeah,
That's business.
yeah.
You know,
what's that?
That's business.
Yeah.
it-
And there isn't much in DB, so that means you gotta take it out of DA.
Well, I think we said we'd let him decide, or, he's gonna,
I'm sorry, there isn't much in B, general fund B. It has to come out mostly out of general fund A. If we estimate a $20,000 or $25,000 bill for this dock repair, that by rights, docks are in general A, correct?
Yeah, right there.
And we got $1,000 budget.
And that was a legitimate number when we did it, no question.
Yeah. Do we have a contingency in general A? I thought we had.
48,000,
How much?
48,000,
48?
so it could come out of that.
And where?
48,000 contingency in general A,
Okay,
unforeseen expenses,
where is that?
A
Emergency.
1990,
whatever you wanna call it.
Where is it?
A 1990, it's on page 4.
Let me ask, Ronnie, I don't know if you know the answer to this question, or you, Nicole, but mortgage tax. Where do you get mortgage tax from? Everybody in the town of Alexandria who takes out a mortgage?
finances, refinances, whatever, the mortgage tax.
Buy the house, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Is it just
if you
town,
pay cash, you know.
is it just townwide, or is it county-wide, like sales tax, and it's distributed to us according to our assessment,
I don't think it's by assessment, I think it's where it happens,
where it happens?
yeah, as opposed, cause they can track that, sales tax, there's no way to track sales tax in the whole county, cause it's collected, you put down Jefferson County as far as when you collect it, whereas when the attorneys at the closing, they've got specific real estate forms that they fill out, and part of it's the transfer tax, you got the mortgage tax, whatever, very specific.
Suppose somebody in the town of Alexandria buys a house and gets a mortgage for $500,000, and they get it with a bank in Watertown.
Doesn't matter, it's where the house is located.
It's where the house is located.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's the same form that shows how much was paid for the house.
Yeah.
So that the assessor gets that information to see how it compares against the assessed valuation of the house. stuff
So
like that.
we roughly, last year, took in $90,000 in mortgage tax. Do you have a figure for the year before?
Does that go in A, or where's it go?
Yes, it's
Yes.
a revenue.
It's the revenue side of A.
Are these mortgage
Page
taxes
7.
based on the interest rates, or is that a separate deal?
That can,
A lot of people are remortgaging right now because this rate's low.
that can trigger a reason to remortgage, yeah.
No.
Yeah, mortgage tax. We've been, 2019 was 90,000, the year before that was 104, but the year before that was 77.
Yeah, but the 90 was a budgeted amount. So we don't know what the well, it's probably another part here.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But,
So I was under the impression that this
79,000.
virus situation was
Last year?
hurting property sales. It was hurting property sales.
What's hurting it?
I said I was under the impression that
Emergency.
this virus was hurting property sales,
Well, I'm sure there's not a
which
lot of
would mean it would be
people-
hurting
Can't show
mortgages.
property, I mean,
Except, like I said, with the low interest rates, a lot of people remortgaging right now
right.
Okay.
to make up for that, I imagine.
Yeah, but because of what's going on, and this is just such a huge dip, I would imagine all these rates are nothing's gonna be fixed. Or fixed isn't gonna be that.
Maybe fixed for 5 years, something like that.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Most
say.
Yeah, adjustable rates, yeah. But still, I mean,
Yeah.
if there's enough money involved, and they do the math, if it makes sense to refinance, they will.
Yep.
I mean, when the price of oil goes negative, yeah,
Who would've thought that?
sign me up.
It's too bad we can't do a lot of road work now,
Yeah,
because
I
the price
agree
of
with
oil
Nicole on
is
that,
down.
he's talking about the oil, but
Okay, so.
We're not gonna get money from the state, if the state doesn't get money from the federal government, it's all related.
Mhm.
I didn't realize how small general fund B was, that's tiny.
how did it get so small so fast?
Has it always been small? I mean, just.
No, it was,
I mean, the
General B.
whole budget is 112,000.
well, if you look at, in this thing here.
Prior years?
Page 20, look at page 20. That was, in 2018, it was $185,000. And we went from $185,000 to the plus to a minus number?
What are you
Where are you
talking
seeing that?
about?
On page 20,
The one that's, corporate mode there?
oh, the fund balances, DB, highway DB,
I thought you said B.
That's not B is in boy.
Oh, I thought you were.
DB, highway.
No, I was saying.
He said
B is in
He's talking
boy.
about B.
Oh, general B. no.
General B, yeah, saying how small.
We know what happened to DB. We were all,
Wow, it's just like, we did.
Now, didn't
We need to start
didn't we
working.
take money out of DB fund balance for the bridge,
Well, that's, and I think,
right?
I just wanted to say that. And then we added to it because it was
Yeah.
poorly estimated.
Yep. One question on tell me about capital reserve stable, $60,000. What is that? that's a cuttable expense. I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't something that was coming out of fund balance or something else that shouldn't count, but that was another $60,000 that we put towards it, trying to start a capital reserve account, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about for the rec center.
Yeah.
Talking about for the rec
That's all
center?
on halt, right?
Huh?
It's gonna be all halted this year.
Yeah, I mean, between that and the two stables ones are, $200,000.
Right.
Do we have any idea when that deal is gonna go through legally,
The purchase?
the purchase?
No.
And when we do, we've got the money, right?
Well, see, that's another thing, if it'd be possible to delay the purchase,
But that's coming out of fund balance, it was,
You know,
yeah, but that would give us,
that'd be up to the owner right now.
Well, the owner probably doesn't wanna delay
Yeah.
it.
I'm surprised
Every
it's going
time-
this long.
The owner's the one who's been dragging his feet, or not dragging his feet, but I know that Bob has been waiting for stuff from their lawyer. I don't mean to say dragging his feet, but.
I mean, in good faith, we need to go through
oh, no, we should have it, no doubt.
It's gotta happen. I mean, someday we'll be out of this mess.
Oh,
I
amen.
mean, I've had different thoughts about that whole deal, and I keep coming back to one thing. Taxpayers voted for it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we didn't know what was going on.
Well, it's a very good investment in the town's future, no doubt about that.
So getting back to general A and general B. General B is the tiny one. Hate to go chip away at that one, but to get that, we're looking at a $12,000 shortfall in general B. And our revenue sources are, or I should say, our expenditure side is very limited, so have we identified anything in B?
Yeah, on the bottom of your page, on the bottom of the paper I made.
Which one are we looking at?
Okay,
You'll see
okay, playground
you'll
enhancement,
see the three things, and unfortunately, they're all tied to kids.
okay.
Yeah,
Have we spent any of that money already? Haven't committed any of it?
I know we haven't hired a youth assistant, and maybe,
and that's,
We've only paid a few dollars for the,
what's that?
we've only paid a few dollars for the program director for youth,
For contractual.
no, personal services.
Well, if we need a little over 12, we don't have to do all of that, so I guess,
I mean, I figured possibly on the
Yeah.
playground deal, we can, if we cut that in half, we get 10,000, or whether we do one playground or we do half to each playground. I mean, we talked about some substantial upgrades to the playgrounds.
Right.
but can I ask you a question about that? For Jay and Jamie when they mow, does that come out of that money, or does that come out of somewhere else?
When they mow playgrounds,
Mow the playgrounds.
I think they put it under DPW.
Where is, okay, so it doesn't come out of that particular fund?
No, I think it's,
Okay.
so that comes out of A,
Yeah.
DPW comes out of A?
yeah.
I was
Now,
just thinking-
I
these
think there's
amounts,
$58,000 of wages in A for DPW, isn't there?
there's a lot, yeah, it's quite high. But I was looking at these, like what you were gonna donate to the youth groups. If you cut the amounts you had budgeted in half and still didn't totally take out the playgrounds, I mean, you could still do some playgrounds.
Says youth program contractual, does that mean we've signed some agreement that we've gotta live up to?
No,
Now,
that's
you said cut the amount that we're gonna give to who?
like, there's Hearts for Youth, Redwood Youth Group,
See, I kinda hated to go there.
yeah,
I looked at those, and you can see I didn't put them down.
okay.
It's the same thing, I didn't put anything down with the money for any of the things that we give to the concerts in the park, we give to the,
But wait a minute, you did put it down, the 22.5, the one, Hearts for Youth is a line item above that.
that's contractual, that's when that's the equipment and the stuff that they buy that's in that building. I did put that down, yes.
Right.
What I meant is I didn't put any of the donations that we do
Okay,
to
yeah.
the not-for-profits.
Well, I think, Nicole, you were talking about the 22.5, weren't you?
No, I was also talking about the donations, if
Oh, you
you cut
were
those
above
in
that.
half.
You
but
got the library in there, you got the two historical societies in there, you got all that stuff.
So the painter center, all that stuff.
You got Hearts, you got,
They've already been paid,
Well, see,
the painter and
They're smart, they
so
got
I
paid.
didn't,
the library,
If
yeah.
we had our CHIPS money, we'd be all set.
so I
that's
didn't
not-
touch any of those,
but that's,
just
that's
because,
really small.
first of all, they weren't big amounts of money, and
Right.
second of all, I just,
But as far as like small stuff, we get better part of $3,000 for the deputy that we don't have.
can't cut that, that's a union negotiated contract item.
No, you're talking about the office, right?
Yeah, the deputy town clerk.
Yeah,
How is that a union negotiated anything?
no, but what are you gonna cut there? What have we
I'm
got,
just saying.
$3,000?
We're not filling the position.
Right,
She
but
said
that's-
she's filling
There's
the
only
position.
$2,100 left.
Huh?
I think we've already spent 900.
Right, but I'm just saying is, if you're looking for money, there's a little bit.
I know, but that was for in case somebody gets sick and.
She plans on finding somebody
Yeah,
for
Okay,
$2,100 a pay in a year.
okay,
If they spent 900, and we had 3,000 in there, is that right?
that was 3 to start with.
There's just a little over 2,000 in there right now.
okay.
Yeah.
So getting back to the youth program contractual, what actually is that 22,500?
That is bats and balls and prizes and
Clipboards
stuff.
and uniforms and
Uniforms.
all that stuff, Sandy, you and I sat down and talked about.
Can we cut that
They
in?
might not be playing this year.
Yeah,
That's true.
Well,
I mean, they're,
That's very true.
that's why I put the assistant in there, because
I think this year we're probably not gonna need an assistant.
yeah.
You know, we haven't hired one. It doesn't look like there's anything going on.
No, yeah,
Um,
there's,
We haven't hired anybody, that makes it easier than laying somebody off.
I did see she was inventorying and I think signing out equipment a few weeks ago, hopefully.
she hasn't put any hours in a few weeks, so, yeah, that was probably the last
Yeah,
time
she
she
Yeah,
was here.
it was probably a month ago, time
Yeah.
just flies. But I don't think you're gonna see kids playing
No.
baseball and softball this summer.
Unless things change. can't
I
get
mean,
together.
hopefully come fall, maybe they can do soccer and whatever else they
I would
normally
say
do.
with General Fund B, we can just look at these 3 items we have here, and since we only gotta come up with $12,000, rather than come up with how much we're gonna take from each item right now, just look at that 12,000 as a whole, and a lot of it might take care of itself because of what Sandy's saying.
Right,
Yeah,
Well,
Well, the
Like,
youth
we-
program assistant's not gonna take care of itself if we end up hiring somebody. I mean, I understand the supplies and stuff will take care of itself, cause if they're not playing, they're not
well,
using it.
I'm
Yeah,
just-
but the assistant is, I mean, the director or whatever Cassidy is, she's hired, okay?
Yeah.
The assistant, we put that money there and we called it assistant, but it was really to hire part-time help to help with different things that we need to have done. And whether that be one person or 2 or 3, and kind of where we got that idea from is that night that we had the meeting here and we talked to some other townships and found out what they were doing. They had one person as their director and they hired 2 or 3 part-timers depending on what their programs were, and paid them by the hour. you
Okay,
know.
so the activity would dictate
But
that.
what would be
Totally
wrong,
tied to
Yeah,
activity.
okay.
what would be wrong, cause we do this on a monthly basis. Like, what are you saying, you're looking for $12,000?
Yep,
Take it all out of the contractual, cause we do, what do they call it, fund transfers?
Yeah,
There's nothing saying, that just because it shows up that now it's a smaller number, that we couldn't do that anyway.
well, so if we took it all out of youth contractual, there's nothing to prevent us from taking some out of playground and putting it into there later.
yes.
Achieve the reduction now, and then we can go in and out, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm in favor of taking out a contractual
Well,
now,
okay, then put it on the plan.
only because of when they can start doing these sports.
Well, let me ask you this, do we all agree it's gotta come out of one of those 3 things?
That's what I think is the way to handle it.
So if we take it out of one with the idea of putting it,
We could transfer, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it looks like we're doing something, but we're not really. But we still need to go through the process.
well, it'll force well, we're the ones spending it, cause usually what happens, like, if you've got a department and you tell them their budget's 20,000, and you don't say anything to them, they count on spending that 20,000.
Exactly,
Yeah, they do.
exactly.
But we're the ones that are spending it, I guess, well, the program director, I guess. So do you take a little out of each one,
Split
and then
it in
put in
half,
as you need
you
it,
know.
or?
Take 6 out of the playground and 6 out of the contractual. Wanna go that route? I'm just saying that we, as a group,
Contractual affects a group. When you take it out of that, when
But
you
that,
take it, when you take it out,
I thought that was things, I thought contractual was balls and bats
It
and
is.
it's equipment,
things.
okay? So that affects the youth group's ability to buy their supplies and equipment, okay?
Yep,
If you take it out of playgrounds,
yep,
who's that affect? We make the decision about what we're gonna do in the playgrounds.
that's totally under us, the playground. Whereas the other one, if there's groups involved, yeah, we can take it all out of playground,
You're talking playground enhancement?
yeah.
Yeah, because we could cut there, right?
I mean, I guess the key to this thing is that it doesn't matter,
doesn't matter.
because we're gonna come up with $12,000 out of 3 line items.
Right.
So,
It'd be nice today to decide where it's coming out of, and then later on, we can shift, of those 3, we can shift them as we need, after that reduction's already been made.
I say proportionately a little bit out of each. Take 5,000 out of playground enhancements, 2,000 out of personal services, and another 5,632 out of the youth.
5, and 2?
5, 2,
5, 2,
and
and
5.
Yeah, 5, 2, and 5.
5, 2, and 56,
That way you're taking a
32.
little bit out of each one. You gotta be very conscientious when we go to spend money out of those categories.
No more
And if we
uniforms.
need a little bit out of each one later on, if we need to massage it at the end, we can.
Yep.
Because honestly, if we're losing the softball season, you've lost 1 season out of 3 or 4, so that'd be like 25%. That's easy to come off of, the assistant, the
They've
baseball.
spent very little this year so far, $627.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's shooky.
So now we go general A then, correct?
Yep.
Now you got some sizable,
Something that's not figured, that we need to have you put a figure on, Nicole, is the personal services savings by the layoffs that happened how many weeks ago?
Right,
Okay.
the 2 from the rink.
Yeah.
yeah, how that helps us through,
And not only,
for the rest of the year, actually.
that, what that savings is, what'd you say for the rest of the year?
Because, yeah, legitimately, that's considered for the rest of the
For the
year.
rink.
How are we gonna open the rink in
Somebody
December?
come back
Okay,
in
then
September?
for
Huh?
Yeah.
6 more months. Now, say, okay, 6 months worth of this savings.
Yep.
Let's be similar to what we're talking about with the highway.
Probably 5 months,
Yeah,
cause we're already into April,
5 months.
yeah. 5 to be conservative. Yeah,
So we got 5 months, which brings up my other question is, Jay and Jamie talked to us yesterday. Do you get the impression that they can do the mowing?
They're not happy about it, but they said they could do it.
Yeah.
Were we talking?
They're just concerned about the amount,
Right,
and that's why they had some questions. They wanna know, are we mowing this field over here?
right.
Is the school still using?
I made a phone call and we're not mowing that field over there, and that's a big field,
That's huge, yeah.
so.
And we kind of briefly talked about, the contractor that we have that's mowing cemeteries, to see if perhaps you might do something.
That's one of the things that I said is a possibility, is we could go back to John Clement and we could possibly add a couple spots to his deal.
Because we made a list of all the things of the mowing areas, like here,
We had 11 of them on the list.
Well, I think what I would rather see, rather than going back to Clement, is I loved it when I heard what the village employees did, their full-time employees. And I had said it to one of the town barn workers' wives to try to get it in the back door to see if they would come forth. But have you heard what they did, the village?
No.
So the
They all
police
stepped up.
department and the DPW, they all got together and they went to the village board and they said, look, we know we're under budget constraints and this is gonna be a tough year. Don't hire any of the seasonal people, don't hire the people that you normally have for the golf course, you know, whether it can be opened or not, we know we need to mow it and we know we need to do the docks, and the police department had said, we'll monitor the docks, we'll do the traffic meter, the parking meters. The DPW guys have said, we'll take care of the golf course. They've basically said,
Wow.
we'll pick up on our own and do all the extra things so that we don't have to hire summer employees, so that we can all stay on, and we'll do whatever we can to help you in this budget crisis.
I had heard that they were not going to hire 13 seasonal workers, so that's how.
That's how.
16?
Actually, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, 'cause all the other employees got together and they went, this is my understanding.
Okay.
And I had said that to one of the wives, I said, you know, when I talked to Mike and I said, you have to come up with a plan, you know, of justification. These are things, this is what they did,
Right.
and, you know.
I mean, and where you're going with this is that if the highway barn guys could chip in a little bit and do some mowing.
Mhm.
Yeah, or whatever other things let's say, I
Well,
can't wait until
the problem
next
with that
year,
is,
if I get elected,
even if
at least
they
I'll
did it,
know
it's
something
still
next
salary.
year and I can input more.
Aren't we under contract with,
We don't-
Clement for this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, for some things, but like if Jamie and Jay are saying they don't have, you know, if they run into something that breaks and they don't have time to get to something.
It'd be nice if we could
I
work
mean,
together.
right now, we need to be careful about asking them that, because
We're asking the
Mike just left here today was saying, I mean, he's gonna talk to his men, and maybe one or two of them might be okay with going on unemployment and being furloughed. So I don't know where he's gonna come back at, but that was some of the possibilities and some of the things that were talked about.
Right.
So, and now if we're gonna throw more job duties to them,
Yeah.
that turns that around. And one of the
I don't
things,
I don't think there's that much extra,
No.
because if
The
they're
occasional
gonna,
time.
if they're gonna cut back on doing some of the road works and this and that, and he only wants to let go 2 guys, is what he said, you know, you've still gotta come up with a work plan of what are you going to do?
Right.
I totally agree with you, because that's one of the things here, you know, you're cutting back on projects, right? So if you're cutting back on projects, what else are you cutting back on?
The people to do the project.
Labor and
And
materials.
that, like I applied for the PPP, because as, you know, small business, that was an option for us. But part of that is I have to bring my full staff on. Well, if I bring my full staff back on, and people can't come into my restaurant to sit down to eat, what are they gonna be doing? I gotta find something for them to do. So, guess what? The guy that I normally hire to mow my lawns sorry Scott, is probably not gonna mow my lawns this year. I've already, Christine loves to mow her lawn, and she's got the best looking lawn around. And I've already told Christine, guess what? At 2 o'clock, I'm gonna have my nighttime cook come in at 2, and from 2 to 5, you're gonna be outside working on the lawn. You know, I'm just trying to get creative, and that's kind of what I've said it to Mike directly. I've said it to 2 other people within the town barn to try to get them to have some creativity, work together, and I don't mean make up stuff, because that doesn't help the situation either, but there's legitimately things that need to be done to help the situation, and
That's why you all saw the email that I sent Mike a few days ago, that one of the items I had in that email was for his men to start helping us clean up some town properties also.
Right.
You know, I mean, those guys at the highway barn in past years used to do that, I believe, every spring.
What
Yeah.
properties you talking?
Any
What
property.
properties?
Town properties.
You're not talking village.
Whether we're talking about cemeteries, or we're talking about
Playground.
ball fields,
I
or
know-
playgrounds.
But the problem with that is their salary still exists.
Yeah.
Whether they're doing something else or not, their salary still exists, and that's money out the door. That's the problem. You know,
Versus
it's not-
what,
it's
versus
not-
what you could
not-
hire
not-
somebody else for to do it.
Hmm?
Versus what you could hire somebody else for to do it, you mean, or?
Or do more with less.
So where's the difference between Clements being a contract for $2,000, right, to pick up the brush? What's that leave?
It leaves the other town properties,
Okay, other than the cemeteries. Okay.
which there isn't a lot, don't get me wrong, that's why I wasn't asking a lot, you know?
So
I
like
would-
the little playground, the ball fields that are up by the water tower in Redwood, the little playground that's behind the tavern in Redwood, who maintains and mows and does that?
Us.
When we say us, who's us?
Who physically does it?
Yeah,
DPW, Clement, or
DPW.
meaning Jamie and
Be Jamie and Jay now, it would have been,
Trevor.
it would have been Trevor and
And
Ben.
Gannon last year.
Yeah.
We've laid off half DPW, right?
That playground needs some work.
yes, that had been brought to my attention.
That's the area that Lopez was talking about, that's the Felder Memorial Park.
Yes.
What if you put word out there that we're gonna have a day where everybody can come and help clean up the playground? Would people come and help you?
Yeah, I think they would.
I think they would.
Yeah.
Just like volunteering for these youth things, I think people would volunteer.
Well, you see, that's when we were talking about this youth assistant here, that's what a bunch of these other towns told us when we talked to them. They said, we had volunteers
Yeah.
be the assistants,
Yeah.
and we didn't have to pay them.
Right.
So that was another thing that was in my mind when I saw that $8,000, I thought, you know?
Right.
And there is a good group of volunteers out there for this youth program. There's a lot of people that have been putting time in that.
I'm sure there is.
Can we do that legally this year?
Well,
Have people get together to clean up these
Oh.
places?
Well, not yet, not yet.
So long as they have a mask on.
Yeah, man, stay 6 feet apart.
Yeah. Real long.
You can't even play
Breaks.
golf, right, Brent?
Yep.
I didn't even
We can play
realize,
golf
so
now.
behind
didn't they open the golf course?
behind that playground, there's actually a launch there where people can put canoes in
No,
and
no,
out?
no, that's what the Lopez would like to have put in.
Cause I was gonna say,
There was
I
one,
never
I
even
think.
realized there was one at one
I
time?
think down by Felder.
There is a half of one,
Yeah. But it's kinda,
maybe a quarter of one.
it's kinda made up, it's not a.
There's an area where the marsh reeds and other stuff are not there for about 10 feet.
Yeah.
And there's a gentle mud slope, and a lot of people
People
will
do use it.
back up their canoes or their kayaks and
It's
put them
not-
in there.
There's nothing official or was designed.
But we'd like to put a ramp in there.
There's a sand beach down not too far from there too. You wanna go swimming? In Mud Lake?
And Rick Lopez wrote us all, did you see that
I
email?
did see that.
You know, about
honestly, I was like, what are
getting
you
the
talking
state to
about?
put something in there, that would be great.
And
That's
I
right-
thought to
That's right
myself,
where you're thinking.
yeah, cause I remember, it was probably last fall, seeing somebody with a kayak, and I thought, where is he going? Because it was always grown up, and I didn't even realize there was water back in there. And then when I seen that email, I said, this is why, and it's a great idea.
Yeah.
It needs to be maintained a whole lot better,
So who
Sure
owns
does.
that
cause
exactly?
there's and
Who owns that now exactly? Is that the town or is that Dale or,
I don't know.
well, that would make a difference.
I think the town owns that.
I think
The
the
town was supposed to, but our legal department didn't get it done right. And last time you and Dale was too happy, and he says, it's mine now, you're never gonna get it, I've had enough of it. But I don't know how much of it in there it's, where it is. You know what I'm talking about. We sat in here, what, quite a few years ago, we signed papers one night, supposedly it got done right, and it didn't. And Dale wasn't too happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was the last chance.
have a dumb question. Nicole
No
probably-
question is dumb.
Well, in the budget, we have, you know, in general A, there's bed tax. And then there's work, there's figured
Tell me the
in.
page, tell me the page.
Yeah, 5. In all likelihood, the numbers will be different than what we budgeted. Do we have to make up the difference? How does that work?
The
Hold on, I'm sorry.
I'm saying that
Bed tax.
we have it in general A, and it's publicity, bed tax.
Yep.
And we budgeted, I mean, not so much we budgeted, we anticipated 124,000, well, I mean, a lot of money.
Yep,
In all likelihood, it's probably gonna be smaller.
yep.
Are we obligated to make up that difference?
I mean, Ronnie's the bed tax guy, but I didn't touch that because if we take in 70 or 25% less, then that's all they can spend.
That's why I kinda thought that.
Cause it goes, you know, one hand washes the other. Whatever we take in, they get.
Okay,
And they have a reserve of about $60,000.
I remember him talking about that. They would, it was just, but I mean, it's a budget item with a number attached to it, that's
But
only.
if people can't travel here, are they still gonna be advertising?
I think they're gonna try to advertise it. What we're talking about, Ronnie, is bed tax money. And I didn't bring it into the equation at all because if the bed tax money's down 25%, then you guys just spend 25% less, or you go to your fund balance.
Right, I think we got about 60,000, I think,
So-
fund balance, but.
So it doesn't matter what we put in the budget at all, it
Yeah.
matters, you get what you get and that's it.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, a little bit of the key to that situation
I was
is,
just worried about that.
a little bit of the key to that situation is that, which I'm sure they have a handle on, what's in the budget, 124,000?
Well,
Yep,
the,
kinda, yep.
well, totals of us.
Is that they don't spend that all by
127,000.
August, and then find out in October that they're 50,000 short, which they won't do, because they meet every month and they go through their finances every month. And the other thing is the sales tax, or the bed tax comes to them the same time the sales tax comes to us, so that's every 3 months. So there's a little bit of a waiting game there for that.
Yeah, I would, the only reason I bring it up, I was just concerned
But
that
I think
we
the
were
way
somehow
the town-
obligated to make this number.
I think the way the bed tax committee is gonna look at this is that we've just gone through an awful thing. And they're probably gonna wanna try to do everything they can do to get people here and not go over budget.
Right, well, one of the key things is, there's 3 or 4 people on the committee that are in the business. So we know every day, we don't have to wait for the sales tax to come to wonder. We know, every time we meet, we know exactly
But
how
I'm
it's
gonna say,
coming.
we're not obligated to come up with that number.
No,
Okay,
no, no.
that's all,
Yep.
Yeah, 'cause everything's on hold right now. Put it this way, we've got about 10,000 of that's in a contingency, in case we get a chance for a new event. Sometimes, a lot of times we don't even spend it, because we don't get a new event, but be able to respond to a new event. And there's other stuff, like, some of the stuff going on in May. It's not gonna happen, so
Has the motorcycle thing been canceled already?
it has not been canceled. But people are canceling, and they wanna know if it's gonna be rescheduled to later in the year, and Mary has decided the problem is these events, the motorcycle ones, there's other ones in other places so that you don't wanna shift to a weekend where one's going on somewhere else, it's just not gonna work.
Mhm.
So they've got a niche right now at the end of June, and there's stuff going on before, there's stuff going on after, it's kinda like their weekend. The sad thing, that is the first weekend to fill, as far as motel room wise, and it's one of those things where you wonder, like say Pirate Days, you wonder how much of an effect Pirate Days has on the local economy, because the village and town are packed. This is easy to see if it has an impact, because it's on a slow weekend, and they're coming on a motorcycle. So you know the reason they're there is because of the event. So that's been really successful, but no, she's planning on staying put, but we've had probably 25% of our rooms, we usually fill as soon as they go to leave. they want the same room the next year, and they're reluctantly canceling. But, no, to answer that question, Bill, that's
Even at the
not a
end of
problem.
June.
Yeah, I just,
I said even at the end
You
of
know, 'cause
June,
it's a
cause
budget
this is
line item, I
the
didn't know if we were
weekend,
obligated to
usually the same week as like the
maintain that
high
number.
school
That's all.
graduations around
Yeah.
here.
It has been. Yeah. Okay, so what else do we have here?
What is this ban interest Zamboni?
Well, that
It's
was
a
what
bond
we were thinking.
anticipation note, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
haven't done that, so that you
We,
won't be.
we said that we would, possibly buy a Zamboni this year. If we get to the point with our grant, where does that stand?
I owe them some,
What's that?
I owe the state some response.
you
So-
can write a book on that thing.
But
Wow.
If we get to the point that we get a, account number or some particular deal with our filing, okay, that means that at that stage, we'll be reimbursable if we buy it.
Right, but the way this is one of those grants, just like CHIPS is. You have to spend the money, and then you have to wait for them to give it back, and sometimes it takes quite a while.
And it may be put on the back burner because of what's happening right now.
That's why I put the ban on the cut list.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing, because we have this grant for it, so you think, great, that's great, you know, but there's strings attached.
Yeah. Oh, I know, I wonder what the opinion is here. What's gonna happen with fines and bails with the court being closed for a couple months? And maybe more. So, you're taking,
Tickets are still being written, right?
you're taking 2/12, you're taking 1/6 of the year off the calendar. And the one thing that I'm worried about is they're gonna be so far behind, then we gotta start, then they're gonna ask for overtime.
Well, yeah, but this is the flip side, take it to the next step further. Well, is justice denied, you know, delayed is justice denied? You know, they write this ticket, and I think there's like a time period,
Otherwise it goes away.
and that, right, so forget about coming in overtime, it's just whatever possible revenue, just disappears.
Because
But
of,
there may
If
be
they
new
don't
rules
process these
because of what's
tickets,
happening.
yeah,
They just disappear.
I don't know if that works. I know it's, what, right to a speedy trial or whatever, but that usually involves misdemeanors and felonies and stuff like that.
I would imagine any time things that are tied into tickets or tied into anything else, that the state will
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah.
that they don't lose the revenue.
Well,
And-
no, well, the state just passed, the end of last year, the speedy trial thing,
Is
and,
that part of that bail reform?
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a whole lot.
Right,
Yeah.
for instance, I'm sure they're making sure that they don't lose that revenue stream.
I was just gonna
Because the
say,
courts aren't completely shut down. But if you read that, there's certain things that they're still gonna take care of.
My point is just that, there's some screwy shit out there that, forget about, you know, coming in and, you know, wanting overtime, which I
I
don't.
mean, we take $104,000 in last year in bail, fines and bails.
And that was ours to keep, or,
That was ours to keep. But that's what we budgeted for this year. What do you have there?
But their expenses were greater than that.
158,000.
Hundred
What
what?
we took in last year, 158.
What do we have budgeted for this year?
Budget this year.
Thought I saw 104.
Yep.
Are they still
104.
doing mail-ins? I mean, if you get a, inspection ticket, does that still come in here?
There's some mail coming in for the court, but not very much.
Not
Are they
very much.
doing anything? I mean,
No. They pick
No.
it, they do check the mail once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came in briefly and looked at that thing.
But here's the deal, the expenses are staying the same because they're getting paid,
yeah.
which that's the most of the, a good portion of the expenses there.
Yep.
Because a lot of tickets, I guess you can, you know, if you just plead guilty to it, they'll tell you what you owe and you don't have to come in, right? I mean, I got an inspection ticket a few months ago, and I just mailed it down to this Alexandria or whatever it was. But that might have been before this deal happened, I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't have to go anywhere, I just came right back. I sent them the money, they were happy.
Oh, that's good.
But the problem with this whole process that we're here for, the longer we don't do something,
Area.
the problem that we have here, the longer we delay doing something, we have less time,
Yeah,
and we can never get that back.
yeah.
So the municipal court is budgeted at $11,000 cost then, right? You got 104 in income, 115 in expense, and that probably does not include, retirement
No.
contributions and stuff, so it's a bigger expense than that then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing I was thinking about with some of these budgets is, you know, so some of these departments are shut down for, let's say it's 2 months, let's say it's 3 months, whatever. By rights, their contractual should be reduced by an equal proportionate percentage.
No, good
And,
point.
or else we're gonna run into what we used to run into here, and that is everybody gets to November, they see what's left in their budget, and they start buying like crazy.
Yep.
So
Well,
so they spend their budget.
but they can't spend over $100 now without talking to you.
As it hasn't stopped them. Look at their chairs.
I mean, we need to make that, for sure. I mean, I just put that in that email I sent the other day, but, yeah.
Cameras still on, aren't they?
I think so.
Mhm.
So
Camera's still on?
Yes.
Yeah.
you're directly
I'm
talking
just
about,
saying.
you know, the courts
Yep.
contractual. So if it's $9,500, so let's just say if we divide that between 12 months, would that be a legitimate thing to do? And if they're not here for 3 months, we should be able to make an adjustment.
I mean, I've looked at a couple different departments in our budget that I thought that makes sense to cut that proportionally according to how long they've been closed or not at work.
Yep.
Yeah.
What falls under contractual?
Yeah, it's 9,500 budgeted,
Yep.
what kind of things?
On page 3,
Yep.
Yep.
What kind of things
Office
fall under that?
office supplies, wish list stuff, that's what they've been doing of late.
Phone bills and those things, they don't go away. I mean, they're,
No,
Yeah.
that's, no, yeah. But that stuff is all part of a grant that they got.
That stuff, yeah.
Yes.
yeah, that's all,
The 9,500 or the chairs?
No, that
Those
thing.
grates,
That thing.
Oh, yeah.
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 There's 4 people that work for the courts?
Two judges and 2 clerks.
And we went to the second full-time to work on the backlog of old tickets, correct? So that means that goes aside, it's been,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they should have enough hours to handle the normal,
Yep,
one would think.
I agree. And I think we've gotta make it very clear to all departments and to everybody, does everybody agree to the fact that we can't afford any overtime?
Right.
Right.
No, not when they've been getting paid and not working for how long? Like, hello, this is supposed to be a community.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is this PS insurance buyout? That's so they work part-time and we pay their health insurance too?
They're not part-time,
They're full-time, they're 40 hours a week.
Both the judges and the clerks?
No, just
No,
the
this
clerk.
is just the clerks.
The judges don't get that.
Okay, so just the clerks get that,
It's 3,000 for each clerk, probably, right?
Yeah.
and that's for the year, okay, that's not bad.
Which is a bargain.
Right, now that I'm understanding what it is.
Dave Courtwright's been texting me here, he must be listening to us. He said explain something.
Might be able to explain about the anticipated reduction in fines,
Yeah, yeah.
cause we're budgeting.
Are the troopers giving less tickets because there's less people on the road?
That seems to be,
I've been hearing that.
yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah.
Hey, Brent?
Hey, we got you on camera and on audio here, so.
Yeah.
And I just,
I've been watching a little bit of it, and I just want to let you know that the ticket issue that you were discussing, I'm kind of delayed, so I don't know if I'm louder or ahead of you or behind you, but, the ticket issue that they're talking about, no tickets, they're all good.
yeah,
What's happening is it's all postponed 45 days, and the longer this stays closed, it's gonna stay closed. I heard someone say something about overtime. There will be no overtime, I will guarantee that.
yeah, well,
It's just gonna be the long hours to, work as far as, get things back up to order.
yeah.
If you have any other questions in reference to that, I'm more than happy and willing to
I have
answer
one,
any questions you want.
I have one question. We have $104,000 in the budget for, anticipated revenue from fines and bail. I gotta believe that there's gonna be a reduction. Any thoughts there or any ideas?
Well, I can only state this, that whatever the judicial aspect, the outcome of all cases that would be adjudicated in the court, whatever happens in the process of, the legal, findings is what it would be. I can't,
I understand that some of these monies will probably carry over past December 31st and will come in our next year, but we're really looking at the 2020 budget, and I'm just thinking that a portion of the month or 2 months or 3 months that you guys are not handling tickets and not processing stuff, I know those monies will still be owed and they'll still be coming, but some of those, do you agree, will move over into 2021?
the money, number one, it all depends on when we come back, which I'm thinking it's gonna be sooner rather than later, i.e. the court system.
Yeah.
Where we're still getting certain, emails in reference to what process, but that's something we can talk about separately, but, the monies are still going to, be generated through the tickets that have been written. It's just a matter of when we get back and we get processed.
So that's really what I'm saying. I understand the monies are still gonna be generated, but the monies may be delayed because this whole process has been on pause for 30 or 45 days, correct?
Well, I'm not gonna say it's gonna go to the next fiscal year, but I will say that when it comes back, my clerks will be, working, as hard as they can to get the things going, along with the district attorneys and the public defenders and all the other, cases that are, gonna be out.
Okay. Anybody got any other questions for Dave? I think we're all set, Dave, and thanks for your help.
No problem.
Thanks for watching.
If you need anything, let me know.
Helps my numbers.
What's that?
I said, thanks for watching, it helps my numbers.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Okay. Okay. Have a good night.
Bye.
I said I had a goal for tomorrow night's meeting. I think last time, when you clicked it off.
I gotta believe
you
this
see how many
stuff's gonna
viewers
just
we
move
had 28,
on a
and I
calendar.
wanted 40.
And the reason I say that is that they work 40-hour weeks in there now, and I know that they've been busy. They're always busy. I see the tickets that they get downloaded, I see the stuff that comes in, I see the things that come in the mailbox every day. So I think just everything's gonna move a little bit. I know they'll work harder and work faster to get caught up, but boy, the longer this thing goes on, the bigger that catch-up pile's gonna be.
Although the cops seem to be pulling over less people.
Yeah.
Well, there's less people on the road, so.
It's true.
Okay. Yeah, I did have a question about that fines and bails. I was kinda wondering about that.
So it sounds like it'll be down, but only not due to forfeit, in other words, it's not because of the system will still collect it,
Yeah.
but at a lesser amount because there's just less people out there.
Yeah, I knew there's no way the state's gonna let time
Yeah.
take away money
Yeah.
during this thing.
And even if that money is not collected, you do an accrual. If
Right.
you know what's coming in,
Yeah.
you can record it in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so, we stand to lose $250,000, and I've got $233,000 of budget possible cuts, so we're $17,000 short. And of the cuts, man, oh man, that takes, I didn't do 25% down here, this community enhancement, that's the total line item, correct, Nicole? It is.
I don't have one
The
of those.
fish hatchery, $5,000, that's the total line item.
Yes,
Ryan Castle
Fish
Stable?
hatchery, has that already happened? or
No,
When does it normally,
in the fall, isn't it?
oh, it is?
Yeah.
I mean, just so that,
fall and winter,
so the organization would know that it's not coming, is all,
yeah.
if we decide to do that.
So the only thing I can say is that maybe, which we don't have to do it today, we need to look at general A a little bit more and see if there's other areas. You have general A right in front of you?
I mean, it's a lot of little stuff, that's the problem.
I mean, the one thing there also is a general A, which we already talked about, for the dock repair, is there is contingency.
All right, well,
And that's $48,000. And we're gonna dip into it, if we take the dock stuff out of there, we're gonna dip into it by 20 or 25 grand. So that leaves us about 23 grand left over.
that we could eliminate, the down low.
It's not good to use contingency in April
No,
either.
that's our,
Where's the contingency located, what page?
On the budget,
Yeah,
it's 1990, I think,
and which one?
page 4.
Has any been used?
No, I don't think so. Hang on, I'm looking up law, because
I'm gonna grab my book.
Okay,
I see it, yeah.
unallocated, was that unallocated insurance? That
1994.
that
no,
one?
it's right underneath unallocated.
underneath county treasurer, yeah?
Oh, okay, all right, the tax and
Contingency,
assessment.
we
county
haven't
treasurer,
used
okay.
any yet.
I see
Cause
it.
I was told that's the last thing you use
Yeah,
when you're doing your transfers.
Okay,
what do we, this is county treasurer, PMT,
That is like, the dog charges, the workers' comp, and whatever else they charge. What is that payment to the county for the dog and the,
Is that an expense or a revenue?
it's on expense side.
yeah.
what else is in that besides the dog and
That's the one that
workers' comp?
the county, that we go through, that a lot of towns are dropping out of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
See, we upped that contingency this year, it has been 35,000 and we bumped it to 48,000.
Good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
Okay.
you talked about the brush.
You know, our public works personal services, if we're gonna have those guys doing more mowing, there could be an issue there, that could be under budgeted.
Right,
We had 59,000 in there, last year we spent, well, the year before 69,000, current year budget,
It was budgeted at 47, but that's not necessarily what was spent. So we agreeing to all the 233, 582?
yeah, I guess the one thing I should check with is, I should check with those fish hatchery people, but as everybody, if you remember last year, the fish died because of a shipping problem, and, which that was last year. And I think the expenses were only a little over $1,000.
Can we get an updated one of these budgets that has the finals on 2019?
See, it's in the financials.
I think it's in the front,
Did we get it?
yeah, under, like, see the tab FYE 12/31/19? It's up towards the front of the binder.
Nice
Profit and loss, January through December 2019.
Nice having these books, isn't it?
Oh, it sure is.
But we were talking a little bit about this brush pit thing. That's all in DA or DB, that's not in general A anywhere,
What is?
the brush pit?
Well,
I was, I mean, I
See-
don't, I would assume it's in,
see, I don't think it's,
or does it come out
I have
any?
an issue with the wording on that, because, you know, what it says in the DA or DB, what it says in DA is brush and weeds,
Okay,
personal services. If you look at the history of it, in 2017, we spent $18,000 there, we spent nothing in any other years, okay? So, what do we ever do with the brush pit besides, well, push it back?
I'm just curious,
And so for other years, it was probably never billed properly, right?
It was probably just the
But one
difference.
year, what was
yeah,
$18,000 we spent there?
That was 2017,
The
when
year
Jerry
before that
was
was
still
nothing.
here. Maybe he coded something a little bit differently than,
Yeah.
so when they work there, where does that charge end up going?
DA.
Well, 18 and
Where?
19, it didn't go anywhere, 'cause there's no 18 or 19.
Okay, but so obviously, but I'm just saying, but they got paid for it, I'm just
They got,
curious to where.
yes, I
That's
don't
an issue.
know,
That,
I don't
that
know.
could be a problem, that, because there's nothing in general A or general B for brush pit, is there?
no, I don't know where to put it, you guys,
So,
well,
so where does it go?
I put it under DA today.
So I'm
Payroll.
just, so it keeps piling up on that. Is that legitimate?
Right now,
Put it this way, it isn't in any place else. And there, it does say brush and weeds with a personal service line item underneath brush and weeds.
So would you, in the
Well, that's
future,
what
should we
it is.
do something to make sure this gets addressed?
Well, I think it's what we all feel about, how's everybody feel about any work and anything you do with the brush pit? Should that be a town-wide expense under general A? Or should it be a highway expense under DA?
Don't know.
What does everybody
That makes sense?
feel?
Why did it go from 16 to 16 if it's nothing, then 17 and went to 19,000?
It's probably a town-wide
What happened?
expense.
Where is the landfill?
A,
Then that's
is
where
the
your
brush
and
pit at
weeds
the
should be.
landfill?
No.
Well, it's a kind of a landfill.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of one.
Yeah, she asked, is it at the no. But that's a good comparison, Sandy, I agree, I see that.
But brush
The
and weeds
place
has
that,
always been in
the place that our
DA.
taxpayers take stuff they don't want.
Right. And
So it should be an A.
We're trying to decide that, Mark.
Okay. I'm
Well,
just-
that's probably a good question for the Association of Towns.
Okay.
Or Bill. I mean, I agree with what Sandy's saying. It's a place where taxpayers in the whole township
That's
take stuff they don't want.
what I'm.
And we provide that place.
So it's a town-wide deal.
So that's DA.
The only
that's-
reason that you might wanna have it outside of general A is because who takes care of the brush pit?
But that's where it gets.
The highway workers take care of it because they have the bulldozers, they have the roller, and they have the excavator that you
Okay,
use there.
so, I'm just saying in the future, there's nothing we can do about it right now.
I'm just thinking out loud.
Well, is that we need to fund it appropriately.
Well, I'd like to know, is this the first year we've had a brush pit?
No.
Okay, then where has it been going before this year?
That's what we're looking at here, and then nothing went there except for 2017.
Like I told you yesterday, I've never seen that on the timesheet.
Well, they just got done working over there, put a bunch of hours in, where did those hours end up getting billed?
That's what
DA.
we're asking.
Well,
DA.
It went to
you
DA,
guys just-
we went to DA where it says brush and weeds.
Which there's $3,000 in.
Right.
Well,
And
that might be taken care of in this payroll,
Yeah, that's gonna be gone, all
Yeah.
gone.
yeah.
And it's just.
120 hours.
120 hours?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let me see how much of it.
that's nuts.
I mean, I know that they did put some gravel down, and they pushed up back where it was sinking in, and there was gravel put down, and it was, but 120 hours worth?
Quite a few guys there, I'd buy.
What's that?
There's quite a few guys there.
That'd be 3 guys for the
How about
week.
the stone, a lot of stone in there, right, Mike, you saw it?
That'll take
That's,
care of it.
I was told, I don't
That'll
know.
take
I've
care
been
of
by a lot
that
of stone,
3,000.
they got an apron from middle of that wall, at least, one I'd buy.
I mean, for going forward, if we budgeted that expense in A and budgeted it as an income in DA, cause that's where it's being handled, right? In other words,
There's no income with a brush pit, but I'm missing something.
no, what I'm saying is, it's an expense in A, we were talking about it should be an expense in A, the transfer site is an expense in A, right?
Yeah.
So let's say the brush pit is a $3,000 expense in A.
Yeah.
Okay? That could be looked at as a $3,000 income in DA, and that would go against $3,000 worth of bulldozer guys or whatever. They're always gonna be the ones that are gonna do the work.
Yeah.
And
I see what you mean, yeah.
just
Yep.
simplify things a little bit.
Means A will pay the guys to.
A will pay the, yeah. So instead of paying a contractor to do it, which A would if they weren't, pay DA, becomes part of Mike's budget as a income line. It'd just be an accounting deal.
I think you should make a note that we should, change the
Well, this
brush
has
pit
the
for
association
next
towns
year.
as well, this.
And we
Yeah.
might
But
actually
I'm
wanna
with you. I
label
mean,
the brush pit.
this needs to be
brush and
appropriately
weeds.
funded
Yeah,
and used accordingly.
yeah.
Because right now, we're just flying by the seat of our pants.
I had
So-
never seen it.
And this is a weekly exercise during the summer months especially, that they at least
Push it back.
push it back.
Right.
At a minimum, one time a week, it would seem to be.
Right, that must add up pretty quick,
Yep.
I would think.
Yep.
'Cause- so we gotta come up with another 17,000, is that where we're at?
Anybody have any ideas?
You still in A?
Yeah. Well, I had the only idea, and it's not a good idea, and that's
What was it?
contingency.
No.
Well, that's our last resort.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
can't keep going back to that. Because we're already.
Okay, wait a minute, whoa, we got it. We'll have Nicole figure out.
She's bracing herself.
She's laughing. What's wrong?
Take my pay away.
Huh? Take your pay away?
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Ask you to work.
She just volunteered, you didn't say a word.
I was gonna say, we'll put you on salary and increase your hours a little bit, how's that?
No.
No, we'll have Nicole figure out, we have 2 less workers,
Yeah, I got that here, I gotta figure that out.
Yeah,
and their benefits,
Yeah, and bennies, yeah.
and it's for what period of time?
That's gonna,
You just said 5 months.
that's gonna more than take care of the 17.
well, no, I.
Yes,
Yeah, you
Yes.
said 5
Yeah.
months.
Okay. More than take care of it.
which brings me to something else about, well, we'll talk about this with this mowing deal, do we need to hire one of those 2 workers back?
I would not do that.
Okay.
Not yet.
The reason why I say that, if we're gonna ask the highway department
Right.
to do something, and then we're gonna bring these guys, somebody back,
Yeah, but we already said the highway department, depending on what Mike comes back to us with, might not have people to do something.
I'm just saying that they're not gonna be happy.
But the,
And the second issue here that Mike, you've heard about, Sandy's heard about, and I've heard about, is that pretty soon we need to hire an apprentice to be working with Jay and Jamie on the licensing program, and an apprentice working with them.
Well, he can, from this fall, when the rink gets fired back up again, then that would be the time.
When what gets fired back up?
The rink.
Yeah, but if you gotta be at the rink, you can't be with the water guys, and they're real strict about booking the time.
Yeah, but a certain amount of it's book time.
Is what?
As far as like, there's
Study time.
Book, learning stuff.
Just being with them.
Well, it sounds like there's hands-on, and then there's book stuff, like say you're at the rink, and you're up in the office, and you could be doing the book credit part.
Yeah, I think the book stuff is farther down the line though. Book stuff is when you start getting ready for licensing and the different steps in the licensing.
I have no idea.
I believe to be eligible for those positions, you gotta, it's like the captain's licensing and stuff like that. You gotta put X amount of hours in on the boat, or X amount of hours in at the plant. They're very time specific about that.
Next year. I don't think it's something we wanna be talking about this year. This is a unique year.
Okay, I just wanted to bring that up.
I mean, Gene.
And while I'm bringing that up, I'll bring one more thing up. Byron's got 5 weeks of pay, of vacation?
That's a bigger problem.
Who's gonna cover that?
That's a bigger problem.
Even though Jay and Jamie brought it up, but they brought it up like, who's gonna cover that? We need to talk to Mike and Jay and Jamie about that. Mike's helped out before up there.
That would help to defray some of his costs as well.
That's true.
So he's saying, that's the problem we have, and then Byron comes to us and he's got a month left in the year and he's got 5 weeks of vacation. And he'd just as soon work.
But if he's gonna take it, he'd rather at least if I was him, and I needed to take time off, I'd rather take it off in the winter when it's cold as hell up there. Who wants to be working up there when it's cold as hell?
I mean,
Or you could look at it differently and say, who wants to work up there in the summertime when it's stinky as hell? So, I don't know. It can work either way, but.
Didn't we have Byron ask us if he could take vacation, if he could use his vacation time and get paid?
Yeah, that's my question.
We've talked about that.
We gotta
So we
hire
get
somebody
paid
to replace
double.
him.
Well,
Yeah.
that's an option. You would have to pay somebody to take his
Yeah,
place.
Right.
Right.
Why
so
not
we
pay
talked
him
about
for
that,
his
and this is-
vacation if he doesn't want to?
It amounts to the same thing.
He doesn't like to leave there, cause he doesn't think he's back, it takes him twice as long to get the place cleaned back up.
Yeah.
So why don't we just see if he would like to get paid and stay there?
I'd say more, but we're on
That's
camera.
one problem, we got it.
So there's options,
Yeah, okay.
you know.
Okay, so we're good, so with the
So we're
savings,
gonna have Nicole figure up that savings, and we'll see where that comes in relation to 17,000, and,
right. But on the face of it, it looks like that'll more than take care of that.
yeah.
What kind of things fall under the community enhancement?
Anything, I mean, for instance, we blacktopped the dump last year or the year before. We
Dave Felder's Park.
paved Felder's parking lot behind Felder's gas station. We paved that road. We did a couple paving projects. Anything, I mean, we were gonna buy an all-new fence for the cemetery on Route 12, the town cemetery right there at the intersection down here.
Yep.
We were gonna buy an all-new black wrought iron fence down there, but Trevor and Gannon did a great job of cleaning that whole thing up, and we decided it looked beautiful, and we saved 5 or 10 grand and not buy a fence. What else were we gonna do, or have we done with that money?
Isn't that where Dank goes?
For what?
Dank? The money you spend with Dank, isn't that where it goes?
With Dank?
Mm-hmm. Pretty sure.
I don't think
Where'd we
so.
get the money we fixed the playground up in Plessis?
We might have got it out of playgrounds. And I think that's why we put specific money in playgrounds this year, is because we specifically wanted to fix those playgrounds up. And they need work. Okay. Anybody have anything else? Motion to adjourn? So we adjourn a work session, I guess?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Sandy, seconded by Mike. All those in, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none.
Stay 6 feet.
Stay away. I did have one more thing, but I didn't wanna bring it up.
I had something I wanted to say too, and I didn't wanna
Is
say
that
it.
turned off, Mike?
Hang on here.
Apparently not.
Tell us when that's turned off, okay?